Yes, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we're not ashamed of the good news of conservatism, for it is the power of liberation. First to the Republican, and then the socialist. Mary, I love you. Mary's holding down the chat roll right now. So glad to have you here tonight. Mrs. Biggs is watching us via Ustream and live stream. Huge night tonight because we're going to talk about a subject that the secular righteous don't want us to talk about. Most American churches are beginning to breed a ground that says in fertility there is unanimity for those who wish to practice Chris law. Ladies and gentlemen, we want to talk tonight with a man that will illuminate for you why the religion called Islam, better known as the cult of Mohammedanism, is one of the greatest threats to world peace. Not poverty, not global warming, but political Islam. There we go. You know how we begin our show, and we're going to ask everybody, because we want to get to this very quickly without any hesitancy. This is a big night. Dr. Bill Warner is going to be with us momentarily. And you know what we do. Forgive the hat. I don't think the hat is much of a matter that's in the way. We'll put that right here for the moment. But kids, I want you to lead us away in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Parents, ready, begin. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Woo! Put that on over there. Ladies and gentlemen, we are about to talk with one of the most illuminating men when it comes to the area of history, faith, and certainly political Islam. And so I want to greet everybody. Thank God that you're here with us tonight. As we are preparing to talk with Dr. Bill Warner.
Hello.
Good evening.
Yes.
This is Ken McClinton. You are live on the Exceptional Conservative Show. Dr. Bill Warner.
I'm delighted to be live with you because I'm a little jealous of you.
Why are you jealous of me?
You spoke with Lieutenant Colonel Allen West.
I love Colonel West. He's a wonderful man. And
he's a man.
He's a real man.
That's what I mean. He's a man.
With a tremendous sense of humor. He's so serious.
I don't know. I've read what he's written.
I know he's a tremendous author, and he's a very serious man when it comes to speeches and speaking about national security and foreign policy and domestic issues. But when you talk to him one-on-one, he is just so real. He is just such a great human being. Dr. Warner, you are also one of those individuals I'm going to add to my letter of the greats who have been on our program, and thank you. Thank you so much in terms of joining us tonight. you are one of the
I'm glad to do so.
you are one of the foremost illuminators for individuals about uh, the truth about Islam. And some part of this I'm going to play devil's advocate, but you know where I stand on these particular issues because I have a lot of down low listeners. So I want you to illuminate all of us uh, of what's going on. First and foremost, Dr. Warner, uh, how did you amass? Uh, how did you amass such great knowledge about Islam?
Well, I just work hard. I started my study of Islam 40 years ago. I'm a 75-year-old man. I started my study 40 years ago. So I've had enough time to do it that I've learned a lot. I learned a lot. I learned enough by the time I got to when Osama bin Laden issued his warning to America and invited America to come to Islam. I went, woo, that's a bad sign. I told some of my friends, we're getting ready to get whacked. And so then when 9/11 happened, they were like, well, how did you know, man? I said, well, I read the playbook.
Yeah.
So I've spent a lot of time studying. I've always been fascinated by the impact of religion on civilization. I think it's an understudied field. And so I've always studied Islam from that standpoint of what it does to civilizations. And on the day after 9/11, I realized that we needed to be able to narrow down the scope on Islam because we'll never defeat the religion of Islam, but we can defeat the politics of Islam. And so I coined the terminology political Islam because that's the part of Islam that deals with the outsider, the kafir, the non-Muslim, which is all I'm interested in about Islam. It's religious concepts of going to Islamic heaven and avoiding Islamic hell I have no interest in.
Yeah, exactly. Now, doctor, people will say to you, you're biased. I mean, you just don't understand. Islam is a religion of peace. It's built on the framework of individuals loving one another and submitting to Muhammad to do good. How can you be so, antithetical? How can you be so against Islam? Don't you understand those concepts of peace?
Well, actually, I do have some insights into peace, but when you come to my house and bother me, I'm saying that's not very peaceful. Let me give you a brief summary of Muhammad's life as when he became the messenger of Allah. I'm not going to deal with the fact that he was a businessman and a merchant before he received his calling. He preached the religion of Islam for 13 years in Mecca, and he persuaded about 150 Arabs to become Muslim. So that's about 10 a year. So he left Mecca at the insistence of the Meccans because they viewed him as a troublesome man. And this is all, by the way, everything I'm telling you here comes from his official biography, the Sirah. So, as well, I can tell people I'm not making this stuff up.
Yeah.
So he went to Medina, where he became a politician. And again, this comes directly from his biography. And he averaged an event of jihad about every 6 weeks for the last 9 years he spent in Medina. But as a result of all the jihad and political machinations, when he died, every Arab in the Hijaz, which is Central Arabia, was a Muslim. So therefore, his success did not come from religion, but it came from politics and jihad. So we can have here, and listen very carefully to what I've told you.
Yeah.
We have here a peaceful Muhammad for 13 years. Right? So if you want to argue that Islam is the religion of peace, I go, yes, it is. But it is the politics of jihad.
Wow.
So, and what we're touching on here is dualism. One of the things that left off the page in me when I started doing all the study of the basic documents of Islam, which, by the way, the Quran is the least of the Islamic documents. If we put the Quran and the Sirah, the biography of Muhammad, and the Hadith, which are his traditions, on a table, you'd go, whoa, it's mostly about Muhammad. 86% of the textual doctrine is about Muhammad, only 14% is about Allah.
Yeah.
So it is religion, but it is also political. And this dualism means that you can, anything you want to say about Islam is true. Let me give you an example.
Okay.
Did Muhammad approve of wife beating? Yes. Did Muhammad forbid wife beating? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Wait a minute, Bill, which is it? Yes or no? Yes, that is the answer. No. So, this is what makes it. This is what makes it hard to put your finger on it.
Exactly.
So that was a longish answer to your question.
No, it's a perfect answer because there are people who are sitting in my audience listening to this on the download saying, once again, that conservative who lives in Washington, D.C. is sending out propaganda around the world that Islam is an evil threat to mankind. And he just doesn't understand the essence. And you have described for us the true essence of Islam. It's yes and yes, it's no and no. It fits what you want.
Yeah. It's like it's got what you want. Anything you want, Islam has. Do you want monogamous relationships in your marriage? Well, you've got that with Muhammad because he married Khadija and stayed married to her monogamously for some years. But if you want to have a harem, well, Muhammad was master of a harem as well. He had 11 or more wives. So just about anything you want to find in Islam, you'll find. You mentioned, by the way, something peculiar, which is you call it a religion.
Mm-hmm.
I find that most serious Muslims will tell you it is a complete way of life.
Ah.
It is far more than a religion.
How can it be
It is
any?
a religion, but that's the least.
How can it be any more? Because they got imams and they got a little place they go to and they pray. It's like a church, isn't it?
Well, superficially, that's another whole other question there. But yes, it is a religion, but it is much more than a religion. It includes a civilizational doctrine. Okay? When I tell you how to drink a glass of water, that doesn't fall under the heading of religion. When I tell you how to relate to other people. So, and by the way, the most distressing thing I found about Islam is it divides the world into the two groups. The kafir, I'm kafir because I do not believe that Muhammad was the prophet of Allah.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have the believers. Now, when you read the Quran or the Hadith, which are the traditions of the Sirah, you find out that Islam has an ethical system which depends on who you are before it knows how to treat you. That is, a Muslim is a brother to another Muslim.
Yeah.
A Muslim doesn't lie to another Muslim. A Muslim doesn't cheat another Muslim. A Muslim doesn't touch another Muslim's wife.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas for the kafir, the unbeliever, the Quran allows explicit rape of kafir women if they're captured in combat. We see this with Islamic State and the sex slaves in Iraq. So Islam's power is that it's much more than a religion. If Islam were a religion, I would not be talking to you now.
And why is it?
I don't have any interest in the religion of Islam.
Okay. Now,
I'm very interested in politicalism.
Exactly. And so a lot of people who are listening tonight are just discovering that it's not really a religion in and of itself. It is
a religion, but it's much more.
Exactly.
It's a complete civilization.
Exactly. And that civilization is built on the framework of dualism. It's built on the framework of virtually being acceptable to anyone and everyone. But it also has a major threat to it in that it doesn't include everyone. There is a group that's not a part of Islam and will never be a part of Islam. And people can't seem to get that understanding. And that's why, Dr. Warner, I'm so glad that you're here tonight because you are breaking it down for people to understand. Why is it that the term...
Let me give you an example.
Yeah.
I was going to give you an ethical example.
Yes, go right ahead.
The cornerstone of the ethical system of Christianity is do unto others you would have them do unto you. Would you argue with that?
Yeah, that's it.
That is could be called. Now, when it says do unto others, which others does that mean? Just other Christians?
No,
it means all.
Exactly.
But Islam does not have a golden rule.
Really?
Because the golden rule is a unitary ethical statement. When I say do unto others, I'm not talking about short others, tall others, green others, black others. I'm talking about others, all others. But with Islam, there is no golden rule because how you treat a man depends on who he is. Is he kafir or is he Muslim? For instance, there are 12 verses in the Quran which state that a Muslim is never the true friend of a kafir. That to me is the most distressing thing about a part of Islam.
Wow. Wow. But that is very deep, Dr. Warner.
Well, it gets even deeper. It
Yeah.
gets even deeper because Muhammad repeatedly advised Muslims to deceive the kafir if it would advance Islam. Now think about what I just told you. So a Muslim may be friendly to a kafir, but he is never the true friend. He will never favor the kafir over a Muslim. So anyway, that's part of the ethical system. And oddly enough, I've never seen anyone explicitly talk about the ethics of Islam.
So,
you know what most people talk about?
What do they talk about, sir?
I met this nice Muslim. He's a really nice guy. How many times have you heard that?
All the time! All of the time!
See, you didn't know I could read mine.
Yes! The nicest, sweetest people in all of the world.
Yes.
But
yes.
Here, there are Christians who are listening tonight. And a lot of them are urban conservative. Well, not urban conservative. Many are urban dwellers. Washington, D.C., New York, and so on. And they're listening tonight. And they're saying, wait a minute, but I do know a lot of nice Christians, a lot of nice Muslims. They're very nice. They're very sweet to me. And they do have Jesus. They do have Jesus in their Quran. So if they have Jesus in their Quran, doesn't that make it?
Whoa.
What? What?
Jesus is not in the Quran.
What? Are you serious? It's not there?
There's an Isa.
Uh-huh.
Isa is in the Quran, but Isa ain't Jesus. Write that down.
Write that down, folks. Isa ain't Jesus. For those who are in the chat roll. Go right ahead, sir.
He is the Isa of the Quran was not crucified. The Isa of the Quran is not part of the Godhead, the Trinity. Isa of the Quran's sole purpose was coming to tell the world that Muhammad was coming. Ahmed is coming, and I'm preparing the way for him. So that's the purpose of Isa. Now, if you're a man who's familiar with the Jesus of the Scripture, the Gospels, that is not the Jesus of the Gospels. Am I correct?
That is absolutely correct. That is absolutely.
So therefore, do you understand what I mean when I now say Jesus ain't in the Quran?
Exactly. So there you go, people. Very good, very well said. We are talking tonight with Dr. Bill Warner, Political Islam, and we want to talk with you tonight about getting a very fundamental understanding of what we're facing. Too many of us have listened to those on the left, because actually from the description of Islam by Dr. Bill Warner, it kind of sounds like the progressives of America. And we have been sorely put to shame by those who are in power here in this country, who don't want to use these terms and hope that you're ignorant. As long as you're ignorant, we are subject to the follies of men. When we come back from this particular break, we're going to really get deep into the political Islam. And there are questions that are beginning to roll in from the chat roll. I'm going to ask those questions. But we are so grateful to have Dr. Bill Warner with us tonight, Political Islam. You can go to his website, which is politicalislam.com, to get more details. We're not going to have enough time. But you know, one of the things I'm going to talk about is the crusade. You know, one of the things I'm going to talk about is why is this nation afraid to use the term radical jihad, and so much more. So stay tuned with us on the Exceptional Conservative Show. Yes, we do. And you're going to have to come back because these, oh boy, these questions starting to pop in now. We've been talking tonight with Dr. Bill Warner. Thank y'all so much for listening. We will be right back with more of the best in urban conservative talk. This is the Exceptional Conservative Show, live from the nation's capital, Washington, D.C., that is.
Times are dark. The people are misled by corrupt politicians, lied to by establishment media, and deceived by the false messages of Islam. A nation looking for direction needs a guide. It needs a man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me on Spreaker, SHR Media, Pundit Press, Live Rebooting Liberty, and YouTube for a unique brand of commentary on the unpleasant blind guide. Because the truth is not always pleasant.
Hey, it's Jersey Joe, Hook Reaver, Common Sense. You can catch me every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on SHRmedia.com. That's every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, SHRmedia.com.
How's it going? I'm Julian Klenda. This is my son, Anthony Klenda. I'm the owner of Maine Lobster now. I grew up in the lobster industry. I worked with my father for almost 15 years. My father's company, Klenda Seafood, distributes lobster products to different restaurants and stores locally. I have relatives scattered all over the United States, and they always wanted Maine lobster, but couldn't always make the trip to Maine. So when I was in college, I developed my business plan to distribute lobsters nationwide. I developed an easy-to-use website to simplify the ordering process, to help people out and answer common questions. I've also negotiated shipping rates with different carriers so I can offer a reasonable shipping rate to my customers. We work closely with local businesses, including the Lobster Shack at Two Lights, located in Cape Elizabeth, Maine, Black Point Inn, located on Prouts Neck in Scarborough, Maine, and the Residence Inn Marriott, located in downtown Portland. At Maine Lobster Now, we exert humane delivery practices to ensure comfortable transit for your lobster. My goal is to deliver the healthiest Maine lobster to your door.
Meet Jason. He was really excited to start growing his business with social media until he realized how complex and time-consuming social media can be. It's difficult to manage multiple social networks and accounts. It's hard to monitor what's happening on social media, follow discussions, and engage with new followers. It's time-consuming to publish updates throughout the day, track and analyze how effective posts are, respond to fans and followers in a timely manner, and gain new customers. The list seems to go on and on. Jason quickly becomes discouraged. How could he ever do all of this and still run a business? He was ready to give up on social media until he found eClincher, the easiest way to manage social media. Jason was amazed how straightforward and simple it is to use eClincher. With eClincher, Jason is now able to leverage the power of social media without having to dedicate several hours a day. He can easily organize all his social media accounts in one place, efficiently plan and schedule his posts ahead of time, engage with his followers, understand the effectiveness of his efforts with powerful analytics, find new customers, and much more. In order to tell your business's story, simplify the process of managing your social media, and analyze results, sign up with eClincher today.
Ladies and gentlemen, we want to thank eClincher, also Maine Lobster Now, and Iola Technologies. They are our newest sponsors for this particular program, and I encourage you, because you're conservative listeners and even my down low listeners, come to the website, go directly through it. You can order at great discounts. One of the great benefits is of listening to this program is to do that. Some of the great products of our sponsors. You can find all of that on our front page if you just go directly to theexceptionalconservativeshow.com. Want to welcome you back here live from the nation's capital. That's Washington, D.C. We are blessed this particular evening to have Dr. Bill Warner with us, politicalislam.com. And we are getting a fundamental understanding that Islam is more than religion. It is civilization itself, and that's what we're up against, a fight against a foreign civilization. Dr. Warner, there are some people out there who would say, listen, I understand where you're coming from because you're a little hurt about the Twin Towers being knocked down, and I'm glad they rebuilt them. And quite frankly, Dr. Warner, you know, this is really not the fault of Islam. It's the fault of a few 14 people who just went nuts one day. And quite frankly, it's not Islam that we have to worry about. We just have to worry about a few bad apples coming across and fighting us, terrorizing us. Sir, am I on the right track here with these statements from those that I hear from?
You have attended the cultural liberal training on Islam. I can tell.
Yes, I have. So please illuminate us. Let this world know where they're going wrong.
Could we start with a simple question?
Yes, sir.
What is Islam?
It's a way of
you'd
life.
be amazed how many people can't answer that question.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you the answer. Write it down.
Mm-hmm.
Islam is the doctrine found in the Quran and the Sunnah of Muhammad. And the Sunnah of Muhammad is his life and his traditions. So if it is in the Quran, if it is in the Sunnah of Muhammad, it is Islam. If it is not in the Quran or the Sunnah of Muhammad, it is not Islam. So now notice what I've neatly done here. I've now drawn a circle and I've said inside of this circle is Islam, outside of this circle is not Islam.
Yeah.
So what we need to do here is we need to look inside the circle and look in who was Muhammad and who was Allah.
Mm-hmm.
So all of our answers need to come from Allah and Muhammad. And if you'll notice the rest of my talk, I've already started talking this way. I want to bring the voice of Muhammad and the voice of Allah into the discussion.
Okay.
And once we've done that, we know we're talking about Islam. We do not want to talk about Muslims because Muslims are people. There's 1.5 billion of them, and I don't have time to talk to 1.5 billion people.
Yeah, exactly.
But I do have time to know Muhammad and know Allah. So we have to start with that.
Okay.
And by the way, notice here that if you've got an expert, a Muslim friend who's an imam, and he says something that agrees with Allah and agrees with Muhammad, he's right. If he says something that disagrees with Allah and Muhammad, then he's wrong. So why do we need the professional? All we need is Muhammad and Allah and skip the in-between part there.
Yeah. Okay. So in this,
all of our answers need to come from Allah and Muhammad.
So if all these answers come from there, how is it that we get to a point?
If you're going to talk about us,
yeah. How do we get to a point where they become a threat from the origins of it? How do they become a threat to civilization?
Glad you asked.
Mm-hmm.
We've already given a big hint here, which is that Muhammad preached the religion of Islam. There are 2 Muhammads, if you will, and there are 2 Qurans.
Okay.
Now that sounds heretical, but here we go. I've already told you the summary of Muhammad's life as the messenger of Allah, which is he preached religion for 13 years, didn't have much success, became a politician and a jihadist, whereupon he had magnificent, overwhelming success. So therefore, we have where is you talking about the 13 men or the 19 men on the World Trade Towers?
Yeah.
That's not my big concern. My big concern is the fact that Muhammad laid out the pattern for them dying in jihad, trying to destroy the kafir by use of deception, is part of Islam. This is not something, look, jihad has been going on for 1,400 years. Do you know how many people have died in jihad over 1,400 years?
How many people have died?
120 million Africans, 80 million Hindus, 60 million Christians, and 10 million Buddhists. 270 million people have died over 1,400 years. Therefore, the 3,000 that died on 9/11 are insignificant in comparison to that 270 million.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Wow.
So that's the problem. The problem is the exemplary answer. Muhammad is the perfect man. There are 91 verses in the Quran which state that Muhammad is the perfect pattern for the divine sacred life. So Muhammad was a jihadist. So therefore, if you're a jihadist, you're following in the footsteps of Muhammad. You're following the Sunnah of Muhammad. S-U-N-N-A, Sunnah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we need to keep our eye on. We need to keep our eye on Muhammad. We need to keep our eye on Allah. Everything else is immaterial.
So,
But the jihad has been going on for 1,400 years. It's not something that was made up recently.
so for Allah, jihad is acceptable. It matches with both of them.
Yeah, it's called fighting in Allah's cause, a poetic expression.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite poetic expression that comes from the Hadith: paradise lies in the shade of swords.
Wow.
Think about that.
Wow.
Paradise is heaven. Heaven lies in the shade of swords. How's that for mixing your politics and your religion?
Wow, that's a very bloody thought. It ain't that gold standard of heaven from the Christian point of view.
No. By the way, have you ever studied Islamic heaven?
No, I haven't. Please educate me and illuminate me.
It's not at all like what most people's concept of heaven is like.
Mm-hmm. Okay. How is it different?
You have the male in paradise has these huris, which are sacred lovers, if you will. They're devoted only to you. That's the mythical. What is it? 72 virgins.
72. Yeah.
The number 72 is mythical.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that the Quran promises that you'll have these wonderful sexual partners. You'll also have wine that won't give you a hangover. Mm-hmm. You will also have the finest food. And then you will have young boys as beautiful as pearls.
Woo!
So it is a wonderful place to be, Islamic paradise, if you're into earthly pleasures.
What? So that includes... Wait a minute now. We're saying that Muhammad and Allah, little boys, wouldn't we think of that as pedophilia?
Well, that's what you call it. I'm just quoting for the Quran.
Oh, just okay. I didn't write the stuff. So
I just tell you what. I do not draw conclusions. I just give you the information that you figured out for yourself.
Wow! Oh my God. Okay, so this is deep. All right, so Muhammad dies. Wow, Muhammad dies, and I mean, how does he get from Medina to Mecca to Islam, virtually taking over Middle East and Africa?
Now, you touched on a very important process here. You mentioned before we break about the Crusades, and most people view the Crusades as a bunch of European thugs who just went over to beat up on some precious Muslims in the Middle East because they were greedy, hungry fools.
Yeah.
Let's start off with Christianity. Are you aware of the fact that Iraq used to be a Christian nation?
Yes, I am.
Syria was a Christian nation. Lebanon was a Christian nation.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know that half of Persia was Christian?
Wow.
Afghanistan was Buddhist. Pakistan was Hindu. So North Africa was Christian. Egypt was Christian.
Yeah.
Turkey was Christian. As a matter of fact, we have a mention of Turkey in the Revelation of the New Testament, which it talks about Asia Minor.
Yes.
Churches. So how did all that Christianity disappear? What happened to it?
Yes.
Islam happened. So this Islam expanded by military power, and this is all clearly written.
Wait a minute. So are you trying to tell, Dr. Warner, are you trying to tell me, because Jesus sent out 12 disciples that were apostles and they preach the gospel and it's throughout the world, you're trying to tell me that they spread the message of Islam with the sword?
I'm afraid to give you the news. Let's talk about you. Have you heard about Yazidis? The Yazidi sex slaves? The Yazidis used to be a very prominent religion in and around Iraq.
Uh-huh.
When Umar burst out of, who was the second caliph, came out of Arabia, he left the head of a Yazidi every kilometer on his way to Persia.
Oh.
He put it up on a pole. Now, this, believe it or not, is a very powerful persuasive technique.
Oh, God.
Let me explain something to you. Military power, or any kind of power, is attractive to people. As Osama bin Laden said, everyone likes a strong horse. Are you aware of the fact that after 9/11, many people became Muslim here in America?
Really? Wow.
And that's because I'm going to tell you a little story from the life of Muhammad.
Mm-hmm.
This is clearly written in the Sirah. And it said this man came in and he asked his brother, said, why did you kill your business partner who was a Jew? And his brother said, well, because Muhammad said to kill every Jew you could lay your hands on. He said, but that man who is your business partner put the fat on your belly, and you killed him because Muhammad told you to do so? And he said, yes. He said, if Muhammad told you to kill me, your brother, would you kill me? He said, yes, I would. He says, this is a wonderful thing. I must become a Muslim too.
Oh my God! So you're talking. Christians think of liberation, and oh my!
You've mentioned another interesting word there.
Okay, go forth.
Liberation refers to freedom. When you say
yes,
liberate, to free. Islam is not based upon liberation and freedom. Islam is clearly based upon slavery. Have you ever heard the term Abdullah, the Islamic name Abdullah?
Yes.
It means slave of Allah. Abd is slave of Allah. So everyone, the civilization of Islam is to determine that all the world will become a slave of the Sharia, a slave of the Quran, a slave of Allah. And the true freedom is to follow all the exquisite rules that are contained in the Sharia. Mm-hmm. So the goal of Islam is slavery. The goal of others is, my personal goal, for instance, is freedom.
Yes. Wow. I want to talk with you. And
this stuff will stretch your head, won't it?
It stretched my head. Oh my God! My head's like twice as large now. Wow. So we're sitting and we're talking with Dr. Bill Warner. This will not be his last time on our program. He is one of the individuals.
Is that a threat?
That's a threat. That's a threat. You got to come back because we ain't gonna have enough time. We're talking 1,400 years, and we haven't even got to really dabble into moving from Medina to Mecca. But I want to get this question in real quick because it's in our chat roll, and somebody asked it. Dave Milner, the unpleasant blind guy, asked this question. He said, please ask Dr. Warner what happens in a given country when nice Muslims begin forming communities. What do they do then to people already in those countries?
Very fascinating question.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, every Muslim is to repeat the life of Muhammad. When Muhammad first manifested, that is, when Muslims first come to a new civilization, a new culture, they're wonderful to be here. They love the new country. People are so nice. Yeah. We just want to live our religion.
Yeah.
That's all we want to do. We're simple, plain people. Got it?
Yeah.
But Islam is revealed in stages. So that's the beginning Islam. It's just a religion. What was Muhammad's first position in society? He preached the religion of Islam. No one died in Mecca. Now, there are a lot of people who are getting ready to die in Medina when he goes there because now he's become a politician and a jihadist. So what's going to happen? Well, as Muslims become more and more and they form, as individuals, they're one thing, but Islam lays a heavy emphasis on the the ummah, the community. So what happens is they start forming communities, and what happens now is those communities start making demands.
Mm-hmm.
Demands like, our children should not have to eat your food at school. They should eat halal food.
Mm-hmm.
All right? And that we need a room to pray in at school. And so they start making demands. The history that you teach in your books is not the history we like and want. We want the history books rewritten so they tell the story of Islam like we want it told.
Wow.
So then come the demands. After the demands becomes force. You will do it this way. And now then creates the plan of fear. And what happens is Islam grows. Let's take Europe for an example.
Yeah.
For a long time, and Muslims just moved in. Life was fine. But now then there's places to go in Europe where I can't go unless I had armed guards with me.
Yeah.
Because I am no longer welcome in their area, in their no-go zone. So Islam reveals itself in stages.
Mm-hmm. And
because that's what Muhammad did.
Yeah, and the ultimate goal of Islam is not for coexistence; it's for conquering.
Well, let me give you remember I told you I was going to talk to you about Muhammad a lot?
Yes.
Let's look at Medina. Medina was originally half Arab and half Jewish.
Yeah.
Some of the Arabs left Medina, went to Mecca, and became Muslim. They came back, and then when Muhammad left Mecca, he was invited to come to Medina.
Mm-hmm.
He became a politician, and this is clearly written. 5 years later, there were no Jews left, and that city was half Jewish. There were no Jews left, every one of them gone, and every Arab that was in Medina was a Muslim. So they came in as a persecuted minority as migrants. Got the picture?
Yes.
And at first they were grateful. Then they began to make demands until finally Medina was 100% Muslim. That is the sunnah, the pattern of Muhammad. That is the pattern that's to be repeated. Look, Islam is if you'll just read the playbook, it's all there.
Wow.
I don't have to make any of this stuff up.
And you're not. It is there. It's all there. But we've been told.
It is there.
Yeah.
All there.
Yeah, we've been told that, hey, wait a minute. Guys like Dr. Bill Warner and other of these conservatives like Kim, you guys are extremists. And you're propagandists. And you like to toss out mythologies to people. And you're very hurtful. Don't you know you hurt people's feelings? It's like that. But the truth of the matter is, one is a faith, which is Christianity. The other is a fear by force, which is Islam. You're either part of it or you're not. And if you're not, then woe be your life. You won't have it long. We talked about the Crusades for just a moment, and this is where a lot of people misunderstand. And we're going to end because we're going to end tonight with talking about slavery. And I got to let you go at 10 minutes of the hour. You've already gone beyond your time period, and that's because of me.
Hey, I'm already, Ken.
Yeah.
Hey, Ken, I'm into overtime.
I know.
I get overtime wage.
Yeah, yes, you do. Forgive me. I'm really intrigued here. We have the Crusades, and you know how the Crusades were. The Europeans came out and they just destroyed everything in front of them. They killed a lot of the Muslims and were real mean spirited and tried to take back Jerusalem. And they attacked everything in their way. How many of those battles actually took place that you know of, where they eliminated all of the Muslims?
I only know of one in which that happened, and that is a very Islamic thing to do, by the way, so I don't know how Muslims would complain about something doing Islamic. But I will. Here's the point I want to make.
Uh-huh.
The Crusades were a defensive war. They were a defensive war because, remember, Jerusalem was a Christian city and a Jewish city. All these areas were Christian. They were being subjugated by Islam, and the cry for help went out. Mm-hmm. Now then, the Crusaders did a bunch of bad stuff. I'm not going to try to defend that. Yeah. But I am going to say that there, in essence, was a defensive war. Let me give you an example. The Crusades ended 800 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
No one has died in the Crusades lately. Jihad is current today. The Crusades were a temporary phenomenon. They're gone. But jihad is, I bet you I can get on the web right now and find some jihad attack that's happened somewhere around the world today.
Very
you want
true.
to bet against it?
Very true. That's very true.
So the Crusades were an event that happened a long time ago, and they were defensive because the Christians were being barred from going to Jerusalem as pilgrims. Christians were being persecuted. So the Christians in Europe went to defend them. As I said, they made some bad moves. By the way, I totaled up. We were talking about this 1,400 years of jihad.
Yeah.
I sat down and totaled up the number of battles that I could find that were offensive battles by Islam over a 1,200-year period. There were 548 battles fought by Islam against the rest of the civilized world. Do you know how many offensive crusades battles there were? 14.
Wow. Wow. But, oh my, I got to have you come back just to talk about that. And finally, because I forgot, I got to touch this subject here too. We're running out of time. I want to thank the great people who are listening via Red Nation Rising. I know that you all are getting ready to leave. Thank you for listening to the recast at 2 a.m. on Liberty Channel at Red Nation Rising. And for all of you who are listening right now, we're being blessed on SHR Media Live and also High Plains Pundit Media Live. We are talking with Dr. Bill Warner. Dr. Bill Warner, we had Columbus Day. And we also have a president who blames white America for slavery. I want you to tell me what was the singular cause for both of those particular things to happen.
Ken, could you repeat your question? You cut out on me a little bit.
Okay, I apologize. What was the singular reason for us to have had Columbus Day and also the slave trade in America?
Oh, the slave trade. I thought we were trying to phase out here.
I know!
Intellectual bombs. Gee. Okay.
Can we say Islam?
How much? Can I have 2 minutes?
You got it. You got it. Go right ahead.
First off, let's deal with slavery. Muhammad was a slave owner. He retailed slaves. He wholesale slaves. He tortured slaves. He prayed while slaves were beaten. He had black slaves, white slaves. His favorite sex slave was a white Christian woman from Egypt. We know he had black slaves. He stood by while Umar beat one of his wife's black slaves to get some information from her. So Islam is deeply involved in slavery. Now this is ironic because in the prison system, what the propagandists for Islam say is, religion of the white man is Christianity. The religion of the black man is Islam. In the slave trade, who were the wholesalers on the African coast that sold slaves to the evil white man on the wooden ship? I'll give you the answer. They were Muslim slave traders. This was a business that was done with invoices, cash, and everything such things. Here's another interesting thing about slavery. The Muslims ran the slave trade on the Mediterranean coast, the Atlantic coast, and the west and the eastern coast of Africa. Do you know how many white Europeans were taken into slavery over the slave trade in the Arab world? Over 1 million.
Wow.
Now, it turns out there were many more black slaves, but we need to understand here that Islam was an equal opportunity enslaver. I'm the first man who ever put together all of the Arab words that mean slave, and there are, I don't remember the number, but I think it's 42. Let me ask you a question. If you're talking to a man who's got one word for an escaped child slave, another word for an escaped female slave, and another word for an escaped male slave, are you talking to somebody who's sophisticated and deep into slavery?
Pretty much.
When a black slave is called Abid. A white slave is called, slips my mind here just a moment. Anyway, they had a different name for every slave depending on their race. Does this tell you something about a civilization that is deep into the sophistication of slavery?
Yes.
Do you know when the slave markets were closed in Arabia? In 1960. Do you know what the highest priced slave in the Meccan slave market was for 1,400 years? A white young woman. I leave that to your imagination. And why was a white woman the highest priced slave? Because Muhammad's favorite sex slave was a light-skinned, a fair-skinned woman with curly hair from Egypt who was his favorite sex slave. So there's just a brief touch on the slavery there. Little things you might find interesting.
Wow. Finally, Columbus Day. Why is it that we celebrate Columbus Day? in America?
Well, for the white folk, it was the time that the first white boy showed up that made any impact on the east coast of America.
Is it because you came this way simply because you couldn't go east?
Actually, you see, now you get into the more serious answer. The reason the white boys came to trying to go sailing west to find the access to the east, because Islam had cut off all the trade between the Europeans and the Orient.
Oh my!
And so they were looking for another slave trade, another way to have trade with the East. So they are connected.
Dr. Bill Warner, Political Islam. If you never listen to my show again, you definitely have to go to Political Islam, click it, put it on your bookmark, star it, whatever it takes. Listen to his work. And yes, we've had a Muslim in our chat roll who was making some statements. We didn't throw him out. We let him make his statements. But that's how powerful this message is. The truth will reach you and it will make you free. So, ladies and gentlemen, go to Political Islam. Do yourself a favor. Get the readings. Watch the videos. Get the books. Much better, I believe. Dr. Bill Warner, Political Islam, the threat that the secular righteous don't want you to know about. Thank you so much for being with us tonight, and we're going to have you back very soon, sir. I got too many questions.
I'm still jealous of you, Ken. You still have spoken with my favorite military guy, Colonel Alan West.
Wow, and I have spoken tonight with my favorite historian, as well as knowledge of that one. Thank you so much, sir. God bless you. We will talk with you real soon.
Okay, thanks a lot, Ken. I appreciate what you do.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Wow. Forgive me for being the geek that I am, but there is nothing like the opportunity of talking with Dr. Bill Warner. I hope that you heard it. I hope that you got everything. We want to thank Abdullah Bey, who was in our chat roll, repeated the same thing over and over again. This is what he repeated. He said, yes, Islam is a religion of peace and the sword and murder and rape, the religion of mercy and taunting. Yes, Islam is a religion of contradictions. Many like me, these contradictions, they made them understand that they do not belong to this religion, but where the solution way is to show that these contradictions and logical scientific way to understand that Islam does not work. You're absolutely right, sir. It does not work. I want to thank you all so much for tuning in and listening. Listen, we got to take a quick break. When we come back in the second half, we got two great guests with us to finish off tonight's show. Man, this was great. This was great. Sorry. Of course, Tammy Purnell, who's running for city council in Baltimore, 7th District, will be joining us. She has a big event that we will be attending and covering for you. It will be live, and we're going to give you some special information about that. And in addition to that, the beautiful, the vivacious, and the brilliant Janis Hall, the J Hall World Report, will be with us. We got a lot to talk about, including potential nuclear war between the U.S. and Russia. Yeah, you just might live long enough to see it. We'll be right back with more of the best in urban conservative talk. And Dave Milner, because you're here, I dedicate this next commercial to you. And hopefully you all enjoyed the fact that we went to a non-commercial period so that I can be entertained with my questions. But we will be right back. Dave, this one's for you.
Hi, my name is Christopher Arnold. I'm the executive chef of Infused Restaurant, and today I'm going to walk you through some of the meals that we prepare here. So we're making a pizza. We use fresh Italian sausage that we cook here and slice it up. Our pizza dough is in-house made. Our pizza sauce is in-house made. So everything is fresh ingredients. This is our Thai curry chicken. The sauce is made with coconut milk and the Thai red curry. It is juicy chicken thighs as well as some mixed vegetables, served with jasmine rice and pita bread. So now we're going to prepare our famous blackened tilapia and grits, our fish and grits on the menu. And our meal will be complete. Let me tell you about our infused beef burgers. When we kick the spice up just a little bit with our infused sauce. We start off with 80-20 USDA ground chuck ham patty burgers, like half a pound of burger, and we're going to grill it to perfection. After I flip the burger, we add the sauce and let it cook on into the meat mix a little bit. We're going to add a little bit of pepper jack cheese to this burger, spice it up a bit.
You know what I'm talking about, baby. Burger this big, $63.39. Allentown is this big, baby. 2 1-pound hamburgers with bacon strips. Double the bacon, double the burger. You put any fixings and cheese on it you want. It's called the Exceptional One. An infused restaurant, 6339 Allentown Road. I love Derek and his wife and the family there, and they do a wonderful job with breakfast, brunch on the weekends, and of course the Exceptional One. I love to order it. I love to eat it. It is one of my best meals. And yes, Dave, I did that for you, man. 6339 Allentown Road, Temple Hills, Maryland. We'll be back in 2 minutes, 2 seconds with more of the best in urban conservative talk. And you know what? What I'm going to do one day, Dave, is I'm actually going to order the burger, pick it up, and bring it in. And while the commercial is going, I'm going to eat that burger right in front of you, man. Ladies and gentlemen, as seen on TV, our next commercial, you can go to our front page, theexceptionalconservativeshow.com, and pick up this new product.
Is your bathroom a disaster? Tired of scrubbing and breaking your back to clean that mess?
Hi, Anthony Sullivan here, and this is the Turbo Scrub, the cordless rechargeable power scrubber that tackles even the toughest messes quick and easy. Look how it makes this old tile look like new. Turbo Scrub is tough enough to break down caked on messes for a deep clean on any surface. Use it in the shower for hard water stains, calcium, lime, rust and buildup. Nothing's better than the Turbo Scrub. For tough areas like the bathroom sink, watch the brush conform to fixtures and fittings. For ring around the tub, use the Turbo Scrub with the extension wand. You never bend your back, and it spins at over 300 RPM, making tough jobs like this quick and easy. To scrub up high or clean down low, Turbo Scrub's the way to go. It's perfect to cut through grungy grout on tile walls and shower stalls. Just scrub and rinse. With the cone brush, Turbo Scrub easily cleans those hard-to-reach areas like shower door jambs. Its angled bristles are perfect for getting into tough, hard-to-clean corners. If you hate cleaning the toilet, get a Turbo Scrub. It does the dirty work, so you don't have to. In the kitchen, easily clean cooktops, stoves, or metal grates. It cleans everything and the kitchen sink. It's perfect for scrubbing grime out of sliding glass door tracks and tackles road grime from your rims with ease. Call or click now.
Is your bathroom a disaster? Tired of scrubbing and breaking your back to clean that mess?
Hi, Anthony Sullivan here, and this...
There you go. Get your turbo scrub, ladies and gentlemen. Get it today. Get your turbo scrub on. Ladies and gentlemen, we welcome you back to the Exceptional Conservative Show live from Washington, D.C. I so adore Mary Brockman, my bouncer, because she keeps absolute control in that chat room. That's my bouncer. That's my bouncer. You don't play with her. So glad to actually have this opportunity to come with you all and talk with you all tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, we have with us momentarily a young woman who truly breaks down the world affairs so that you and I might understand them better. Hello, the beautiful, the vivacious, and well-rested Janis Hall, the J Hall World Report. It is so good to have you back on the air with us.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Awesome.
Even from California.
I know. I want you to know that we're about 20 degrees colder than we were when you left. So I just want to let you know that.
I know. I was actually kind of a little upset that as soon as I left, it got to a nice temperature in Virginia. I was like, darn. It should be nice when I come back, though. So I'm looking forward to that.
Exactly. When you come back, the temperatures go back up. I don't know how that works, unless you're in charge of global warming. You bring in all that nice California air. Yeah, I'm jealous. Janis, before you left to enjoy your great young life and the great weather in which you go, we were at peace with Russia. Now we're finding out that Dmitry Kislov, as well as Vladimir Putin, don't share the love for Obama anymore. And they have made some threats. I want you to talk about that tonight as our lead off. The concerns that somebody might be pressing that button in the Oval Office very soon.
Yeah. Definitely. So Russia and the U.S., as it's, it's no big news. The Russia and the U.S. have not been agreeing on Syria and how to handle the situation there. Mm-hmm. And while the U.S. has done basically nothing in regards to Syria, Russia has taken a different approach and has actually been involved. They have been supporting their guy, Assad, and so now with, Putin's help, the government has generally been able to take over, a lot of the territories that they had lost. Now, it's getting somewhat complicated, at least from the U.S.'s perspective, from the fact that it would appear as if Russia and Syria essentially are, basically they're destroying the city of Aleppo, where a lot of the rebels are. Mm-hmm. And, of course, this is causing lots of casualties, lots of civilian deaths, and that, of course, makes the West angry. And, the U.S. and other Western countries are saying that, maybe we need to militarily stop Russia from this action, which I think is somewhat ridiculous and hypocritical. And why are we going to stop Russia from doing this, but we didn't stop ISIS? We didn't stop Assad before. I mean, I don't understand why we would now then want to stop Russia. And by the way, as I think I said this last time, Syria is a mess. It has been in civil war for years. Yeah. And as perhaps Russia is handling the situation, at least they are doing something.
Exactly. Exactly. You may not like the fact that they're doing something, but they're doing something.
No. But they are doing something.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think at this point, Syria needs a resolution to this problem. And it might not be pretty, but I can guarantee you that a solution in the long run is going to look a lot better than continued civil war.
Wow. Now, there are about 4 or 5 civil wars going on right now in Syria, and then anti-government war against Assad that's going on, and then ISIS is attacking in places like Aleppo and Damascus. And on top of that, now you have Russia that's coming in to provide support for Assad's government forces. But we have during the debate a journalist, Maddox, whatever her name was, that says that somehow we have to do something, but we can't put ground forces in there. So what the heck do you do?
I feel like this is one of those situations where nobody's happy what's going on, but then nobody actually wants to do anything to stop it.
Can you say that again?
We're so outraged.
Can you say that again?
We're so okay. And it's a situation where everybody is outraged at what's going on, but nobody actually wants to do anything about it.
You do something. No, you do something. No, you do something. What do we do? Do we send the Red Cross in there? Will that help?
I don't think anything would help right now. And quite frankly, I don't think there's really much that we can do. It's been... How long has this civil war been going on in Syria? A long time.
A long time.
During that entire period, the U.S. at any time could have gone in and helped out the situation to the U.S.'s benefit. Did they? No.
But we did draw a red line. Wasn't that good enough?
Yeah. Then the red line just disappeared and nothing happened.
Exactly. Now, Putin is pissed off with Obama, and Obama's pissed off with Putin because Obama said, we don't mind you knocking out ISIS, but we don't want you to touch the rebels. And Putin is like, well, why don't you come here and do something? And he's like, well, I don't want to get involved. I'll provide humanitarian support. Well, it sucks to be you, Mr. President.
Right. I know.
Is there a rebel group that?
Yes.
Is there a rebel group that can be chosen in Syria that we could support?
I don't think so. I think that it's at this point, while, I mean, there could be a group, but our arming of essentially of the anti-government world has been very disastrous. So even if there was potentially a group that we could help, it's no guarantee that anything good would actually come of it. And I would also like to point out that I don't understand why Obama and the U.S. think that we have any say in the matter when we're not actually committing any troops or any military action to do anything. We're just telling Putin, we think that you should spend your resources doing this, what we want you to do, even though we're not actually going to provide any assistance or aid or anything. We're just going to tell you what to do.
Well, you know he's a community organizer, so organization is very important. So
That is true. You get other people to do things.
yeah, that's right.
As a community together.
Delegate. There you go. The worst commander-in-chief in American history, Barack Hussein Obama. There you go. And Vladimir Putin is taking full advantage of that. We're talking tonight with Janis Hall, J Hall World Report. You all know that on Tuesday nights I enjoy this particular program of all programs during the week because we get to talk with Janis and she breaks this stuff down, complex stuff down, so that you can be able to explain it at the water cooler or at the kitchen table. We're fighting a war right now. Now I know it's long forgotten, but we're still at war. And the country of our choice was Afghanistan. Now, apparently, there are those who are waiting for us to take the last armaments and men and women from Afghanistan. And they're counting down the days until Obama's no longer president of the United States. What's happening right now in Afghanistan that we should be concerned about?
Okay, so Afghanistan has never been particularly peaceful. We all know this.
Yeah.
However, in recent months, and probably for longer than that, a year or so or more, the Taliban has begun to be more assertive, and I think we're beginning to see an uptick in violence and terrorist attacks, not just in Afghanistan, but also in Pakistan, essentially of the Taliban trying to reclaim the government and reclaim their territory that they once had before we went in.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what is likely to happen is that as ISIS shrinks, which is what's happening, that those people are just going to go to Afghanistan.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would imagine that as ISIS gets smaller, the violence and situation in Afghanistan will get worse.
Are we going to be there? Are we going to be there for much longer? Because I just don't feel that we did what we were supposed to do. Completely eradicate Al-Qaeda and all the rebels and allow the tribal groups to establish a formidable government where they are not in fear of terrorists. Is it time to just come home?
Well, we definitely have not fully succeeded yet in what we want to do. The Taliban still exists. The Taliban also continues to essentially gain more control and more authority in that region.
Mm-hmm.
And so even though we might have, basically whittled them down to almost nothing, they're coming back.
Yeah, they are.
And this really shouldn't surprise and this really shouldn't surprise anyone that, when we leave, all right, that essentially the country reverts back to the state it was in before we came.
Is that because we decided that we would be peacekeepers rather than warriors?
Pretty much. Essentially what's going on in Afghanistan is, this isn't specifically Afghanistan, this is also to some degree Iraq as well, is that the reason those countries are at any point different from, what they had been originally before we came in is because the U.S. military was there and was taking an active role in governing and securing the region. And what's going on is if we leave and we no longer take an active role in governing and securing those regions, they will just naturally revert back to the state that they were in before we went in there.
My God, it sounds like 1979 Russia. You know what I'm saying? Russia did the same thing.
A little bit. They did. And look at what Afghanistan became after Russia.
Oh my goodness.
It was the Taliban controlled the home of Osama bin Laden. We all know.
Oh my goodness. Well, you know, we're missing an Eisenhower or Truman as president. Somebody who just says, you know what we got to do is go in there and just wipe them out. And whoever remains, allow them to know that if we have to return, it will be worse. Y'all start right and get it right. Oh, gee. And so let me get this straight, because Hillary Rodham Clinton said during the debate that she hopes that she doesn't really have to take on ISIS. She hopes that the person who's in office now will solve the ISIS problem before she becomes president. Is there any hope? Give us on a scale of 1 to 10. 10 being, blessed Messiah, this is coming and all things will work out perfectly. And number 1, the living hell that it is. Will we have exhausted our, well, forgive me, not exhausted, but will we have eliminated ISIS by the time Hillary Rodham Clinton swears in as president of the United States?
No.
All right.
I mean, unless Obama has some grand plan that basically involves nuking the entire Middle East, I'm going to say no.
Wow. Apparently.
And that's just ISIS. That's just ISIS, right? So even if, they're not going to be gone. They're still going to be there. But even if they were gone, and when they are gone, we will still have Islamic extremists to deal with. They will just be calling themselves another name.
Yeah. Janis, how come you're not Secretary of State?
I know how to work email. Probably. I'm qualified.
And you wouldn't have your own server either. See.
Right.
Now, Putin recently worked out a deal with Turkey, and they're going to send oil to Turkey. They will refine the oil and send it to Turkey. So Turkey's looking. They're getting very big, high on the hog with all of their support from Russia now, since they're virtually leaving NATO. I know they're still in NATO, but you know what I'm saying. Putin's doing a great job as a lobbyist, but he canceled his trip to France. So what's up with that? Aren't they friends?
Not today. They are not friends today.
Oh.
So this goes back to they're having a rough time in the relationship.
Oh. So who's sleeping on the couch now?
I think everybody's sleeping on the couch now. So this goes back to what we were talking originally with Aleppo and everything that Russia's been doing there. And essentially, France is saying that Russia is committing war crimes in the area and is just being a terrible international partner. And, I mean, as you can imagine, that went over really well with Russia. everyone loves to be accused of war crimes. So Putin did have a trip that was planned to go to France. And basically, after Hollande said all these things, and Putin was like, well, yeah, I don't think I want to go, actually. Which I can't blame the man for. It makes sense to me. I wouldn't want to go either.
Oh, wow. I am so sorry to see the relationship is so tattered right now. It's a shame. Is there any hope that they can work this out, France and Russia, and they stop with the threats of war crimes and other histrionics?
Not in the near future. Not in the near future, because this is not going to go away. Syria's not going to go away that soon. There's still the matter of Ukraine and Putin just, in general, being rather aggressive in international politics, while the West continues to not be.
Wow. But we could really itch, whine, and complain. We got that down pat. We got that.
Yes, we do. We do.
Want to ask you one final question tonight?
I mean, so far, okay.
No, go ahead. So far, what?
For one thing, so far, our biggest threat right now to Russia and China is basically that they will look bad. They're going to be on the wrong side of history. That's pretty much all we have, and it's not working so well.
That's not working. Who cares? Who cares what side of history you are? Anyway. One final question.
Apparently, they don't know that the winners write history.
Exactly. Okay. That will be another 30 minutes there. Final question, Janis. I love you coming on this program. I really do. Angela Merkel is under great stress at home. In fact, I'm surprised that they haven't actually gone to the mansion, kicked down the door, and thrown her out. But what is she up to now to try to dissuade people from talking about immigration in Germany?
Okay, so Angela Merkel's new plan of attack is to focus on Africa and to provide a lot of aid and support to Africa. So essentially, she's going to try and convince the German people that if they provide a lot of support to Africa, then all of those people will not be coming to Germany. Which, I mean, politically, it's a terrible idea in the sense that you can provide a lot of aid to Africa. It looks good. We do obviously know that if the situation in Africa improves, that it is likely that there will be less immigrants coming in. However, it's one of those things that also isn't going to have a lot of people will see it and say, "Oh yeah, it's they'll think it's actually doing something," when in reality, what it's doing is probably very minimal.
So they're going to pay
in the short term.
They're paying ISIS. I'm sorry. They're paying ISIS not to invade. That's what. Sorry. Some degree.
I mean, not literally, but yes.
Oh, I think we were there a long time ago when the Gauls came in to take over Rome. I think that we're starting to see the whole history thing relive itself in the world. Janis, we love you. Enjoy your travels. Enjoy your time away. And you will be back, not next Tuesday night, but the following Tuesday night for more of the J Hall World Report. Perfect.
Yes, I will.
We're looking forward to
2
it.
weeks of stuff to talk about.
I know. And who knows? That relationship just might get better between. No, it won't. Thanks, Janis. Take care.
Thanks. Bye.
Janis Hall, the J Hall World Report. Listen, I don't know about you, but I love this time of the night. I love it because we normally have a non-commercial period, and guess what? We will be introducing that non-commercial period right after this break. But you know, I wanted to do this here. I normally would do the commercials, but I'm not going to do the commercials tonight. Forgive me, all the sponsors or whatever. We'll get back and we'll take care of that on Wednesday night when Lonnie Poindexter's here. The Kraken, Ralph Chittum's will be here. In addition to that, Shannon Wright will drop the mic at the very end. And we also have a very special guest, Michael Jiswick, who will come on. But I want to explain something to the GOP. What you just did this weekend is tell everybody not to be afraid of you. When you all turned tail and dropped Donald Trump and began talking aloud of getting a replacement for him, you told America everything that we need to know as to why Obama happened to be the most powerful community organizer in the world. He wasn't powerful because he was able to pass legislation on his own despite his pen and his phone. He wasn't powerful because he was able to threaten people from the dais during the States of the Union at the Supreme Court. He was powerful because you, Republican congressmen, have allowed him to do everything he wanted to do since you had power in both houses. You have allowed him to pass budgets in which deficits have grown. Our national debt grown to $20 trillion. That wasn't because he did it himself. He got your permission. Policies that created unemployment at a rate of right now 5% and ticking upwards. States only able to create 3,000 jobs per state in a quarter. I'm quite certain if you're a small place like the Virgin Islands or the District of Columbia, 3,000 jobs a quarter is pretty gosh darn good. But think of states like Idaho, California, Texas, Alaska, Kentucky, Florida, New York. 3,000 jobs is a sniff from Donald Trump's nose. Hardly manageable or meritable. So, ladies and gentlemen, when we saw the grabbing of pussy to be a problem this weekend, we understood why the grabbing was so destructive. It was destructive because it began to reveal that when you turn on the lights at the GOP, the cockroaches scramble away. And I want you to know, I've grown up in urban America. I've seen cockroaches that refuse to move no matter how many lights are on in the house. You see, when Democrats screw up, maybe drive someone into the river and can't figure out how they drowned. When someone sends military airplanes, I'm seeing helicopters into the desert to rescue hostages and fails, and then apologizes. When you have someone who says, I never had sexual relations, and lies like that. When you have someone who says you can keep your doctor, you can keep your health plan, you can keep your good health, and lies like that. And then when you have a woman who's running for office who should actually be behind bars. Throughout all of that, Democrats may have yelled and complained and encouraged people to change their hearts and minds who were actually the ones who did it, but you know what? They never stopped being Democrat. They never stopped supporting whoever the evil party was. Now, as far as I remember, as Christians, we are to forgive and move on. I'm quite certain Donald Trump, upon asking for forgiveness, was redeemable in the hearts and souls, well, the heart of God. But for the souls of Democrats, I suppose not, as they whine and complain more about what he said instead of what Hillary has done. But for those of you who wish to have true strength and true power, I want you to remember what you have to do. You have to do something that a great movie taught us all to do. Not to give up, not to give in, and not to give over. Stand by your man, even if he's a rapist, because you chose him in the first place. Let me play a scene called The Death Crawl from Facing the Giants, and I hope that you understand what you're going to have to do to make certain that we have a Supreme Court that understands the Constitution and lives accordingly. That we have an executive in office who's not going to depend on his pen and phone to change fundamentally America. And that we have a Congress that's not a pussy and that will stand up, disavow the actions of the past, but also admit they're not formidable or as formidable as the issues of our day in the present. The death crawl.
It's not even funny, dude. So, Coach, how strong is Westview this year? A lot stronger than we are.
You already written Friday night down as a loss, Brock?
Well, not if I know we could beat them.
Come here, Brock. You too, Jeremy.
What, am I in trouble now?
Not yet. I want to see you do the death crawl again, except I want to see your absolute best.
What, you want me to go to the 30?
I think you can go to the 50.
50? I can go to the 50 if nobody's on my back.
I think you can do it with Jeremy on your back. But even if you can, I want you to promise me you're going to do your best.
All right.
Your best.
Okay.
You're going to give me your best.
I'm going to give you my best.
All right, one more thing. I want you to do it blindfolded.
Why?
Because I want you giving up at a certain point when you can go further. Get down. Jeremy, get on his back. Now get a good tight hold, Jeremy. All right, let's go, Brock. Keep your knees off the ground, just your hands and feet. There you go. A little bit left. A little bit left. There you go. Show me good effort. That way, Brock. You keep coming. There you go. It's a good start. A little bit left. A little bit left. There you go, Brock. Good strength. That's it, Brock. That's it.
Not at the 20 yet?
Forget the 20. You give me your best. You keep going. That's it. No, don't stop, Brock. You got more in you than that.
I ain't done. Just resting a second.
You got to keep moving. Let's keep moving. Let's go. Don't quit till you got nothing left. There you go. Keep moving. Keep moving. Keep moving, Brock. That's it. You keep driving. Keep your knees off the ground. Keep driving it. Your very best. Your very best. Your very best. Keep moving, Brock. That's it. That's it. That's it. Keep going. Don't quit on me. Keep going. Keep driving it. Keep your knees off the ground. That's it. Your very best. Don't quit on me. Your very best. Keep driving. Keep driving. There you go. There you go. That's it. You keep driving. Keep your knees off the ground. Keep driving it. Don't quit till you got nothing left. Keep moving, Brock. That's it. That's it. That's it. Keep going. I want everything you got. Come on, keep going. It hurts. Don't quit on me. Your very best. Keep driving. Keep driving. There you go. There you go.
He's heavy.
I know he said it.
I'm out of strength.
Then you negotiate with your body to find more strength, but don't you give up on me, Brock. You keep going. You hear me? You keep going. You're doing good. You keep going. Do not quit on me. You keep going. I know it hurts. You keep going. You keep going. It's all art from here. 30 more steps. You keep going, Brock. Come on. Keep going. Burn. And let it burn. It's all hard. You keep going, Brock. Come on. Come on. Keep going. You promised me your best. Your best. Don't stop. Keep going. Too hard. It's not too hard. You keep going. Come on, Brock. Give me more. Give me more. Keep going. 20 more steps. 20 more. Keep going, Brock. Give me your best. Don't quit. No. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Don't quit. Don't quit. Don't quit. Brock Kelly, you don't quit. Keep going. Keep going. Go, Brock Kelly. You don't quit on me. No, you keep going. You keep going. Go, Brock. 10 more steps. 10 more. 10 more. 10 more. Keep going. Don't quit. Give me more. Oh, you can. You can. 5 more. 5 more. Come on, Brock. Come on. Don't quit. Don't quit. Come on. 2 more. 1 more.
It's got to be 50. I don't have any more.
Look up, Brock. You're in the end zone. Brock, you are the most influential player on this team. If you look around defeated, so will they. Don't tell me you can't give me more than what I've been seeing. You just carried a 140-pound man across this whole field in your arms. Brock, I need you. God's gifted you with the ability of leadership. Don't waste it.
Coach?
Can I count on you?
Yes. Coach?
What is it, Jeremy?
I weigh 160.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a 160-pound monster on our back. I wish we had coaches out of Congress, like the Speaker of a House, who could urge you to cross the goal line. But we don't. That's why we have conservatives like me on the radio every night, encouraging you to do something that the leaders that you elected can't encourage you to do. So I'm telling you right now, for the urban conservative who feels like quitting because the GOP has left you, for the rural person who believes that their vote won't count because Hillary's already won it, for the suburban woman who understands that a gun tax by Hillary Rodham Clinton will take away your opportunity to protect your children. Clearly, I'm urging you. I'm demanding you. Pick up that burden that's on your shoulders, whether you're blindfolded or otherwise. And if it takes crawling across a football field 100 yards, do it. We have to win. There is no other option. Winning is the only option. And while those who you think have power over your ability to win, they have nothing because you got heart. You're not going to like everybody. You're not going to like everything they do. But you got common sense and you understand. There's only one right now. And even the one that came in second to him, when things got tough, didn't turn from him. Stood by his side. Encouraged others to come to his side. Ladies and gentlemen, that person was the liar called Ted Cruz, remember? You see, he carried that 165-pound burden called Donald Trump. And he crossed the goal line this weekend. He stood tall when Paul Ryan ran. Stop worrying about the pussy that was grabbed by Donald Trump. And start running for victory. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we have a very special guest who's coming on our program. We so duly enjoy the fact that she's with us tonight. And she is part of that urban conservative movement that you haven't heard too much about. She is none other than Tammy Purnell. She's running in the 7th district of the Baltimore City Council. And she has a very special event coming up on October 21st, and we're going to talk with her about it. Good evening, Ms. Purnell.
Good evening. How are you?
Well, and you are live on the Exceptional Conservative Show. It's such a great pleasure to talk with you again.
And it is such a great pleasure to talk to you likewise.
Well, thank you so much. Listen, you are running for city council in Baltimore City, and you happen to be Republican. But you also happen to be a black female. Now, you're supposed to be a Democrat. Why did you choose to be a Republican?
Well, I didn't know that I was supposed to be a Democrat, but I chose to be a Republican after I began to look around at the Democratic Party.
Mm-hmm.
After I began to look around what it had done for the community in the city that I lived in, and I came to the conclusion that something is not really right with this picture. But let me say, before actually carrying a Republican voter's card, I have never been a one-party voter anyway. I've always voted for the person that spoke on my issues.
Exactly.
And if we look at history, we'll find out that the Republican is the party that we came from. It wasn't a Democratic Party.
Mm-hmm. Now, you live in a community which is noted first and foremost for having Democrat rule, because for 73 years, Baltimore has been under Democrat rule. There recently were riots. There is economic hardship. But the mayor and the city council have come forward to say, hey, we're going to help you. We're willing to help you change the 7th district. How is that working out?
It's not working.
Mm-hmm.
Prior to the uprising or the riots, the 7th district has been neglected for, I would say, at least the last 50 to 45 years.
Yes, ma'am.
After the riots, of course, money came into Baltimore City. Basically, most of it was to be allotted for the 7th district because of the lack of jobs, lack of development, and of course, no one in City Hall can tell you where the money went. And no one in City Hall even comes to the 7th district. A lot don't, and in the part where the uprising took place, most of the politicians only come through there once every 4 years, and that's to get the vote.
Yeah.
What I find very, very depressing for me, or what breaks my heart is as I go through those particular neighborhoods, and the people say, well, politicians come and they make us promises all the time, and they don't keep them, and they don't care about us, and we don't have the jobs, and look at our housing, and look at our schools. It is very disheartening, and it's very, it's sad.
Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing. And we're talking with Tamara Purnell for 7th District. You'll find it on Facebook, Purnell for 7th District. We have it in our chat roll. We're going to encourage you to like her page, to send her page out from around the country so that other people can like it and encourage her. In fact, if you're at the facebook.com, all you need to do is / TAMPPURNELL. We want as many people as possible to like that page and send it out to like that page, because America doesn't know that there are conservatives like you and Shannon Wright in Baltimore that are trying to change it. And you all have some good chances of winning. If you won, what would you do to change Baltimore?
Well, the first thing I would do is I would demand an audit, because it is ridiculous that you have a city that throws away millions of dollars or steals it or burns it. So before you can know what you're really working with, you need to know what you had. Who would allow $60 million, $70 million, $50 million to be missing from your school system year after year after year, and nobody goes to audit? That's very strange for me. So I think that's the first thing we need to do. The second thing that I would like to do, in my district, there are over 700 vacant or abandoned houses. The governor, who is Republican, has given the city $73 million. Who knows where it is? No one. But so far, they've knocked down 300 houses. I would like to take the other 400 because we can revitalize our own communities. So we have a vocational school in the district, and I think that we have to teach our kids how to have careers and not go out to get jobs. So how come we can't partner up with the developer?
Yep.
Give these kids skills while they revitalize their own community. Now, what does that do? That gives them a sense of community. That gives us a tax base in our community, and that also gives us affordable housing. And basically, it literally costs the city nothing. So now you have children that when they graduate from high school, they have a skill. So that'll bring down the crime rate. So I mean, it's just so easy.
Wow. I mean, literally, by explanation, instead of spending money on programs that don't work, on education systems that don't really help the children, those individuals can go on to get marketable skills where they can work anywhere in the country and they can stay out of poverty. That's brilliant. Now, are people in your community?
Can we don't get the comments?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, it is common sense. Are people in your community receptive to what you're talking about?
Well, those that I when I get out and speak to them about it, they really are, because it makes sense.
It's common sense. It just makes sense. You love your community because you built your community. It's common sense. Oh my goodness. Listen, because I don't want to run out of time here. You have a huge event, and I want you to give an opportunity to say something to Governor Hogan and the Lieutenant Governor right here, right now on this program, and we will send it to them to listen to. What is it that you want them to do on the 21st of October?
On the 21st of October, I would love if the governor, the lieutenant governor, would come to the fundraiser is October 21st. We're going to have live entertainment and jazz. The venue is in the heart of the 7th District. It's on Pennsylvania Avenue, which years ago was the entertaining mecca for Baltimore City for people of color.
Mm-hmm.
There would be a lot of constituents there, and it would be, I think that it would help my campaign, but not only that, it would make the people in that area feel like they weren't forgotten. I will say that the governor and the lieutenant governor, they did come into that area during the election cycle. They also came back. So the people in the 7th District are really excited about the governor. And I think that that would be a great boost for those individuals in that community to see the governor and the lieutenant governor patronize a place that's in their community.
Ladies and gentlemen around the world, I'm telling you, I know that you've been told that urban America doesn't want a conservative, doesn't want a Republican. They don't want you in the neighborhood. They're basically no-go zones for you. But that's a lie. You have, and we're going to, over the next few days, we're going to have some great conservative Republicans who are running for office who can win in urban America. One of them is Tammy Purnell. Tamara Purnell, and she is running in the 7th District of Baltimore for City Council. She has a night of R&B and jazz, and that will be October 21st, 2016, 8 p.m. to 12 a.m. at Capitol Lounge, 1531 Pennsylvania Avenue, Baltimore, Maryland, 21217. Now, for all you D.C. and Richmond and Philly conservatives and Republicans, and I will include Dover Republicans, you are so close to helping out Tammy and coming to a wonderful event. And I am telling you tonight, Tammy, Mrs. Biggs and I will be going to that event with you, and we will be covering that event on behalf, live, on behalf of the Exceptional Conservative Show. Because we need to show the world that there are a whole lot of Republicans in the inner city that would love to have victories and overcome the stigmas and myths that are out there. So how can people get in contact with you?
People can call me at 443-991-6789.
Okay, that number.
Or again, they can go to my webpage.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry.
What was that?
Or you can visit my webpage.
Mm-hmm. And what is the webpage?
You can visit my webpage, Purnell for 7th. My Facebook page.
Yes.
Purnell for 7th District.
Awesome. And what is that telephone? That telephone number once more.
443-991-6789.
Terrific. We will be there, and we are going to do our best to make certain that the Capitol Lounge at 1531 Pennsylvania Avenue will have to call the chief of fire to get as many people out as possible. We want it to be full. And I want you all to pick up the phone tonight. Give her, well, maybe if it's a little late for some people, I understand. I'm quite certain she has a message system. But to call 443-991-6789 or go to Purnell for 7th District at Facebook, Purnell 4 FOR 7, the number 7TH, District, DISTRICT, Purnell for 7th District. Well wisher, send out her Facebook page to all of your friends. Make certain all of your friends like it and invite them, as you can go to the Exceptional Conservative Show on the Facebook page, as well as Kenneth McClinton on the Facebook page. You will see the invitation to come to a night of R&B and jazz. We will be covering that event live. It will be the only time I've ever done a Friday show, so you know how important this one is. And we want to thank you, Tamara, for coming on and spending time with us tonight.
And I want to thank you, and I want to thank all those conservative Republicans out there that look like me, and we must not give up the fight.
Yes! That's what I'm talking about. Tammy, I love you. We'll talk real soon.
I love you more. Love you back. Talk to you soon.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, there are a host of conservatives that we will be bringing on the air right before the election. We want you to know who they are and to support them. Yes, the GOP has left them behind. Yes, they're not giving any money. No, they don't have those fancy websites that the establishment people have, but glory be to God, they have the heart of champions. And those are the people that you want representing you. Ladies and gentlemen, a friend of mine told me, always be brave, do not die a coward. I promise you, I will not be a coward. I want you to remember always that God blessed America. It's time now for America to bless God. From all of us at the Exceptional Conservative Show, we love you dearly. We will see you tomorrow night for a very special show on fatherhood in the U.S. of A.
I've seen a lot of places, I've been around the world. I've seen some pretty faces, been with some beautiful girls. After all I've witnessed, one thing still amazes me. Just like a miracle, you have to see to believe. God bless Texas with his own hand. Brought down angels from the promised land. Gave them a place where they could dance. If you want to see heaven, brother, here's your chance. I've been sent to spread the message. God bless Texas. Where she lives in the sunshine, ready let the waters deep. Then he gave us moonlight for all the world to see. Well, everybody knows that the Lord works in mysterious ways. He took a rest, then